Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. How do you guys like it, huh? I figured I didn't have a open topic in a while, even though I said I tried to do it more often. But of course, a lot of things happen. Kid got sick, flooding happened. I still went on with other stuff. I mean, I could be doing part two of some show I don't like, but you know what? Screw that. I don't want to do that. So, what this means is you can come on in. The link is in the description box if you're in YouTube or you're in whatever. I guess I put on Steemit. Vimm.tv maybe as well. And let's see. Another thing is what else? I'll probably only be live streaming for about an hour and a half at max. So we'll see. We may cut it short, but heck, usually these things go on for 3 hours, sometimes 3.5, 4 hours. Thank you, Captain Will. I think what it is that I never had a stash. Like, people get drawn in just watching someone talk with like a rat on top of their lip. I don't know what it is. I think it's just, one of those things that people like. So this is going to change everything. Yeah. What can I guess a shout out to there's only 2 people watching. Shout out to Mana Talk. He was just live streaming. The thing is, everyone keeps saying they need to fix the system. They need to fix what's wrong with the system and its politics. And what they need to do is they need to vote or to hold their politicians accountable. For example, they want to get corporate money out of politics. You know who allowed corporate money into politics? The politicians. Yeah, they legislated it. And you know who allowed them to keep going? The Supreme Court. You can't do anything about Supreme Court. I'm sorry. They're put in there. They're there for life. Yet people go, you know what? All we need to do to fix the problem is to have our politicians, the ones who are in office and they are the ones who are screwing us in the first place, is to have them vote to redo or undo the legislation that they put so that keeps them in office. I mean, if you look at the 2016 election, you've got 96% of the people who were in Congress reelected into Congress. And then I think that was just the House of Representatives. No, that was the Senate. And I think the House of Representatives was like 92%. So it was still pretty high. I mean, in 2018, I think those are the same numbers. I never looked into it, but it's going to be about that high. And you know what? If you look at the approval ratings back in 2016, the approval ratings of Congress, it went down 11%. And then I think 2018, I think the approval ratings is probably, I don't know. It goes up and down. It doesn't matter what the approval rating is. They still get elected into office. So let's just say an estimate that 85% of Congress are still there, the ones who pretty much legislated to have corporate money into politics. So you're going to ask them or order them or tell them, I don't know, to fix the political system, which is to undo the legislation you guys started so we can get you guys out of office and get new people in office. You know what that's like? It's like having someone like go into your house, like they just stole your house. You're out on your 9-to-5 job. You go into your house. They go, oh, this house is mine now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the locks, lock the owner of the house out. And then, I'm good friends with the police officers and the mayor and whatever. And I'll just say, hey, this is my new house. And someone's trying to break in. And, just fake a deed or whatever it is. Look, I'm in my house, a guy is trying to break in, and then the owner of the house, you know, they're going, hey, you know, I'm in jail. The guy actually stole my house, changed the locks and everything. I can't get in. And the police are like, yeah, whatever. Mayor's like, I'm not gonna do anything. That guy's a friend of mine. That's his house. And so you can't do anything because, well, they're bought out by the guy who's just stole your house and changed the locks. And so you're pretty much just gonna ask the guy who stole your house, saying, hey, could you change the locks back? I can't get in the house that you stole from me. Could you change the locks back to the locks that were there in the first place, so which I have the keys to, so I could get back in, so it could be my house again? You're telling a thief, in this analogy, to change the locks back so you can take back what was yours that was stolen from you in the first place. You're talking to the same people who are doing that to you. People don't realize that. That's just the way it is. That's a shame. It is a shame. Yeah. Can you get your house back? Can I get your house back? Exactly it, Captain Will. It's like you're asking the thief, hey, can I get my house back? Hey, can I get my government back? Can I get my legislation back? They're going to be like, yeah, sure. Just vote for me, and I'll make sure I put it into legislation that we're going to undo what we did. And then so you vote for them. It's like, hey, I voted for you because you were going to undo everything you guys did. It's like, oh, yeah, about that. You know, we can't do it right now because we don't have the majority. So even if we did, it wouldn't pass. So what you need to do is you got to tell your friends to vote for me and my friend over there, because that person, my friend, is wanting the same thing. Get us in the office. We'll own the majority of the Congress, and you know, we'll pass it. And then, of course, next 2 years, 4 years, whatever it is, go by, and it's like they're in. It's like, all right, now we're going to overturn the entire thing that they were doing for the last decade or two. And then nothing happens. They go, whoa, you guys got the majority. What's going on? And I go, yeah, we got the majority and we could pass it. But you know what? The president has to sign it. You know, if the president doesn't sign it, it's not going to pass. So we need to make sure the president ends up being elected, the president we want, so we can go ahead and pass this legislation in the House, pass this legislation in the Senate, and the president that we put in there signs for it. And then, of course, eventually you get that president in. All right, we've got the House, we got the Senate, and we've got the president. This is good, you know, right? We're gonna overturn all the mess we made like 2, 3, 4 decades ago. And then they don't do it. And then what are you gonna do? Oh, well, this time, you know what? I'm not going to vote for you guys. I had enough. Well, you just elected them into, like, what? 2 decades, probably, back in, 20 years. They probably did worse stuff than just the stuff that they lied that they were going to do. And so that's the system you want to fix. Of course, I think I'd recommend you stay there if you don't want to be a flat earther, because being a flat earther is where you eventually end up if you start seeing all this stuff that's going on in all the systems of control. So yeah, just probably just go ahead and vote and say, well, I did my part. Let's just keep going. And then you don't have to worry about being a flat earther, because once you start looking into stuff, oh man, they're going to be calling you a conspiracy theorist, and people you know are going to be like, I knew he shouldn't be looking into all this stuff. Now he's like an Illuminati conspiracy theorist and Freemasonry and Satanists and chemtrails. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh man, he thinks we never landed on the moon. And then the corporate media guys are going to be watching. They're going to be like, oh man, next thing you know, he's going to be a flat earther. It's like they know. Yeah, Captain Will. Looks like it's just you and me. I don't know how long I'll go. I'll go maybe 20 more minutes. If no one's in, maybe I do a special segment of mine where it's not an open topic. And I really thought the stash was gonna get more people in, but I think it just needs to be furrier. You know, it's kind of hard for an Asian to have a furry stash. It just, you know, I got the goods, right? It just, you know, it just needs to be a luxury item right now. Right now, it's just like the bare bones. It's like when you order a computer, it's the bare bones computer. You know, I need the $2,000 graphics card and all that furriness. You know, it's like having the shell of a jacket. You know, you got the outer shell of the jacket. You know, it's okay, but what you really want is the Gore-Tex. You want the Gore-Tex, the full insulation and all that stuff. So I don't have the insulation yet. You know, it's just the outer shell. So maybe eventually I'll get. Oh, okay, Steve Bozo. We're in a Dyson sphere, a lost sector, long forgotten by the attending AI god. I love diving into that stuff. Actually, there's no proof for it. There's no evidence. There is a lot of stories behind it, but it is fun thinking about it too. Because once you go into that stuff, it's not even that part. I don't know about the attending AI god, whatever. But you know that Nag Hammadi is kind of the same thing, same creation story in a way. But yeah, it's just can't really provide evidence for it. We can think about it, and even if you don't believe in it or whatever, at least it's a good story. I mean, we all love good stories. Obviously, we're not getting that from Marvel or Disney. Oops. Did I say that? That was the mustache talking. That wasn't me. It was the mustache. Stache. Sorry. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the pleasantries and just use stash. I wonder what it'll be in the future. You know how we always seem to shorten words? Mustache is stash. So in the future, we're going to be so lazy that we're just going to call it shish. Hey, Steve Bozo, Jay Santos. I don't know if you want... Oh, I guess it doesn't say your full email address. How's it going, Steve Bozo? Bozo? How do I pronounce that? And welcome. And you might need to test your mic out. So on the bottom left, it looks like you're on a computer, but I don't know from this.
Yeah, I'm on a computer.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah, I believe.
Oh, I recognize your voice.
You know who I am.
Yeah, I know who you are. How do you like my stash? Man, it's been a while.
I've been watching.
Oh, okay.
I got over what I had to do. I was just messing around. I was messing with you know, with Unbleached and the Asian guy who I was doing the impression with, and I'm done. Okay.
Why are you done?
My project is complete.
Are they like off on their own? They're good without you, or is it just?
Well, I do YouTube, like I've told you, right? Yeah. And I came upon these three horrible people on the internet: Unbleached, Jim Nam, aka Jim or Nam, and Kyle Swindles. And I was watching and this little thing. I go, what can I do? Well, maybe I can make one of them a YouTuber using the techniques I've built up over 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I tried with Unbleached. He's just a millennial with millennial problems. And so Jim Nam is now a huge YouTuber. Look him up. His name is...
Yep, I know. I've seen his stuff.
Misery Box?
I haven't seen Misery Box, but I've seen his older stuff when I was like looking into it.
They ran him off. They all collectively ran him off. I picked him up and I told him how to do YouTube. And he's now, if you look it up, Misery Box, he reads Reddit stories. Yeah, here he is.
Eric's got a stash too. Awesome.
Yeah, you guys, are you guys bears? Are you guys Owen Benjamin bears now?
No, I noticed. I watched it. Have you watched that episode of Owen Benjamin? I guess he's collecting videos of people, you know, just snippets of like.
Yeah.
Why, that's
anyway, so I'm done with my project. One of them became a huge YouTuber, and to the chagrin of everybody else, and they're all destroyed. So it's the ultimate troll. So, but I believe Dyson Sphere is a theory that was put forth in 1959, before the space program took off. It's accepted by every physicist, even what's his name, Tyson, right?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
So, yeah, whatever. The guy that. So why can't we have been living in a Dyson sphere?
I mean, I like the idea of it. I mean, why not?
I mean, we all saw. I mean, did you watch on YouTube? It was all over YouTube back in 2000. Whenever that guy jumped off the for Red Bull, he remember did that big dive.
Yep.
And they beat the bell.
The Red Bull jump. Yep.
Say GoPro. It was sponsored by GoPro. It's a fisheye lens.
Yeah, we know that.
He was up 150,000 feet, and it's still flat because it's a fisheye lens. It's curved. It looks curved. But if you fisheye lens it, it's still fucking flat. I mean, everybody conveniently forgets that piece of evidence. Like you hear people who are proponents of it, they're trying to send balloons up. This one dude did it. They put it on YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody saw it, and nobody questions it. Wait, what the fuck is that? Nobody questions it.
Even Neil deGrasse Tyson, he demonstrated in a show once that it's flat. He's talking specifically about the Red Bull jump too, and he's saying with the Red Bull jump, if you look at this globe, it's like a blow up globe. He's like he's 2 millimeters above the surface of the Earth. It doesn't matter that at that height, Earth is flat. That's what he says.
How's it flat at that height? That's 150,000 feet in the air.
Yeah.
You're higher. You're supposed to be in orbit technically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Exactly.
It's like it's a tie. I mean, I'm okay. I've been around a while, and I don't believe that the moon landing was real. I mean, why did we go back for 30 years? I mean, I remember growing up, we had Skylab and all these promises of going back into space, and it took what? Till the late 90s to put up the International Space Station. The Russians were up there forever. Mm-hmm. But that was during the Cold War when we thought Russian chicks looked like men, which was a fucking lie too. Every fucking Russian girl I look like, my brother married a Russian girl. She's very beautiful. And I've been to Russia. There's women everywhere that look like models. And the lie during the 80s was, oh, they look like men and they talk like men. It's all bullshit, dude.
Yeah. The thing about I just want to say hi, Eric. How's it going?
Hey, Eric. What's up?
Good. How about yourself?
I like your glasses. You're looking very chic.
It's
like very. I love the sunglasses.
I know. I think it's the stash. It's not the glasses.
And you got the black shirt. You got the black shirt. You know, you look very camera ready. Christmas sweater.
Super. Actually, it's not a sweater. It's actually a Nintendo.
Yeah, it's ASCII, right?
ASCII? Christmas tree shirt.
Yeah, ASCII, whatever that graphic stuff is.
So
back in the old. Mm-hmm.
So what are you up to now? I mean, your project's done. Your YouTube project's done.
Well, that wasn't a YouTube. It was a personal project. It was a side project. I just decided to be. I'm an older guy, and I decided to inject myself in these universes and cause chaos for a year. And I ran across your stream, and I did what I did. It wasn't that bad.
It just gets other people who'd want to stay, but it's all right. I mean, it's more about the stuff that I do that gets people to leave, so it doesn't matter. I don't think I
did anything. I just said that they were I'm just being I don't know, whatever. I hope they didn't. I mean, what? But how do we know we're not on a Dyson sphere? Theoretically speaking, everybody says that if a galactic-sized Dyson sphere was ever built, right, that there would be it wouldn't be completely covering the whole galaxy. There'd be like little holes in it. They'd be opaque, so you'd be able to see the rest of the galaxy. If advanced civilization of that size, you know, that would be kind of an explanation for all the stuff that we see. You explain aliens. Maybe it's another section of the Dyson sphere, the AI visiting us and see what's going on. Maybe our section was like, you know, it's an AI, like, oh, those people should be dead, but life always finds a way. So we're being told. So maybe life found a way here, and that's why we're here. So
right? is that the model that you believe most of everything that's out there? Of globe
but if I'm disbelieving the flat Earth, so I'm disbelieving what I've been told, because everything we see from NASA is propaganda.
Yeah.
And all the scientists are, and it's a plausible explanation that an advanced society can evolve. It even coincides with what people have said, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and what's the Asian guy's name? They talk about level 1, level 2, level 3 civilizations.
Michio Kaku or something like that.
Yeah. You would build a so if we're this Earth size like little sector, which would probably be hexagonal or octagonal, or it'd be that's what it would be, right? That why is it? And why did all the weird stuff start happening when we visited the South Pole allegedly, and the turn of the century? That's when everybody visited the South Pole, right? The Russians and everybody went to the South Pole.
That's what they say.
And that's when shit. Well, they found something. There's people. Why are people at the South Pole right now? You think they're really just digging ice cores? We have international people camped out in the South Pole. People go there too often and nobody's seen it. But maybe 100 people, 200 people at any given time in the world are down at the South Pole looking at the South Pole. I'm not able to go there. You're not able to go there. But there's a whole lot of attention going over there for over 100 years. What are they learning now that they didn't learn 100 years ago?
Yeah, it's definitely something.
Maybe all the technology because if you really think about it, other than like the train and the steam engine, which caused the advent of time zones, right? You're able to travel the world faster. Up until that point, the way the world was looked at, the perspective of man hadn't changed for 5,000 years, right? You looked at the sun to tell you what time it was. You had no concept of what time it was 2,000 miles away, right? You didn't know that it's supposed to be dark over there. That was a constant until the turn of the century when steam engines became there. And then they went down to the South Pole. And ever since then, we have all this technology that's just burst onto the scene. Like, right? Maybe they found something down there. Maybe they're re-engineering, reverse engineering technology there from the whole time. I don't know. War weapons should it take a leap, right? You and I know you're in the Navy. Mm-hmm. We're good at building war weapons and killing us. I mean, they're very efficient at that, right?
Yep. I mean, we could come up with any type of story that we want that's interesting. I mean, if the controllers that are controlling us right now, I mean, they've been doing so for centuries. I'm sorry, and they have this technology. They can easily just kind of move history to whatever period they want, whatever generations.
We see what they're doing right now. They're doing history by editing like what's allowed to be said about history. Mm-hmm. Right. That's what we're going at right now. This is like another great breakthrough of social media, and people like even like the guy who ran Facebook and all these people, they call it the democratization of information. And what are they doing now? They're trying to undemocratize information, right?
Yeah.
But that's what we were sold in 2004, 2005. Oh, this is democratization. Tim Pool himself probably uses that very same term. Oh, well, we're democratizing information so everybody would get the voice, so we can hear what happens in Iran, and it'll get over here and they can hear us, and it's democratizing it. Now, no, they're all bending over to something. I mean, it's kind of odd that they're all converging and acting in the same way when things got too out of their control. I mean, it's an aspect of it. I kind of tied to 1910 and when they did the expedition to the South Pole. I don't know. So,
when do you think like a big change is coming? I mean, there's all these conspiracy theory rabbit holes of like the 5G rollout that's gonna be big, and
I don't know, that could be it.
Then go ahead. Sorry.
Pakistan and India is now the next big thing, because they almost been before this current war, because we had the what's called like our little peace. I mean, the Cold War ended in 1990, and we really didn't have a big boogeyman, and we were like relatively prosperous. Then all of a sudden, they manufactured this whole terrorism thing. We've been at war for 18 years. It's longer than any other period in our history, and it's not given that respect. I mean, I can talk to a kid who was born in 2000. They're 18 now, and they have a negative. They don't care. I mean, they have no skin in the game. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just kind of weird that we're at war for 18. It's the longest war we've ever been in the history of our country, but there's been longer wars and Europe back before the turn of the century.
Well, that's the point of these ideological wars. These wars can't be won. Terrorism's always going to be around, and they can always manufacture terrorism. And so we continue with the war. It's just like the war on drugs. I mean, same thing with George Orwell's 1984. That was the whole point of that.
Yeah, but prior to this, it was War of Nations, right? And you had a nation that you can, say, I beat this nation, right? But that was, or this empire, the British Empire against the Spanish Empire against the Prussian Empire. All these empires are looking for colonization and stuff. So we have the war on terror, right? And it just seems but that was before we were that. The two big things were India and Pakistan were going to nuke each other out of existence, weren't they? And now they're back at it. They're back at it over what Sri Lanka, or not Sri Lanka, but Kashmir, right? Kashmir. That the
Brian has gone.
They're going after Kashmir.
Yeah, there's always been tensions between Pakistan and India. It's just, I think these tensions always exist because
but they have nuclear weapons and they're beyond our control.
You think nuclear weapons is real, or do you think that nuclear weapons is just all make believe?
I don't. There's a lot of evidence that points to that it is real, but I don't know. But there's equal amounts of evidence that it could be fake. I mean, if they really blasted off 2 bombs in the middle of really popular Tokyo.
Give me a second. There's a lot of reverb. Brian, can you mute the YouTube? Awesome.
Okay. So we're supposed to be losing a half-life and stuff. So people have been living there right after they blew up Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, even the fallout with Fukushima, there's supposed to be high radiation, unsafe radiation levels throughout the oceans, and even the fish that
there's advanced technology that they already know how to get rid of it. Then they would never tell us, would they?
But why? It's just more money that we would pay them. So why would they do anything for free that's beneficial for human populations? Is if they're going to do something that's supposedly beneficial, they would want to get paid for it. That's their MO.
I think it's just, I don't know. I mean, Fukushima, there's just definitely radiation in Russia. That's a fact, right? People are telling us that's going on with Chernobyl and all that area. It's like a dead area. You see mutations, and but is it real? I don't know. Yeah. 3 Mile Island. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. Or were you old enough for that?
Yeah. I mean, well, it doesn't matter how old you are because you can always look it up. If you're conspiracy theorist, you're pretty much looking in almost every rabbit hole, even ones that are XXX. There's some crazy things if you really look down certain rabbit holes. Like sometimes you don't even want to go there, but it's
anyway, like I'm going with the Dyson Sphere thing. I think there's advanced technology. I think the AI just it's a bad sector in your hard drive. But let me something I can relate to you because you're a computer guy, right? You're cleaning up the sector in your hard drive, right? It's a bad sector. What happens? You just let it go, right? In the old hard drive system, right? It's just like a sector, and the hard drive we're not going to use that sector anymore. So if there's an AI involved, and we were in a sector that went bad for some reason, they would just say, it's not there anymore, right? It's just like, we'll devote our resources to the rest of these sectors here.
Well, the thing is, if we have a model that we think is there, then we have a good likelihood of predicting what's going to happen next. So if we live on a Dyson Sphere, we have a model that's been provided. We can predict what's going to happen next then. And that could be,
yeah, like we're trying to rejoin the greater. Maybe there's a bunch of bad sectors. Maybe the pictures from Mars is a sector over, and they're like, oh wow, these people died. There's nothing here. And I guess we're lucky to be here. Maybe they're out there looking to get from section to section or get back into the matrix of the AI or whatever greater society it is. I don't know. I mean, I'm just a guy. It's my theory.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that is when you have a civilization that's very advanced, what happened to them, and how if we're going to take that technology that we discovered that they had, what's to make it so that when we do that, we're not going to do the same thing. If we don't know what happened to civilization.
I think that civilization is still around. I think they just forgot about it. It's like cleaning up a disk, an old floppy disk or an old hard drive. They cleaned up the AI cleaned up the hard drive, and the greater part of you think that a person living the vast size of a Dyson sphere, the size of a galaxy, is so like the person living on the other side. It's light years away, right? Mm-hmm. Are they aware of what's going on the opposite side? Would you build a system that it's that big where it'd be broken up into sectors? You report to the central sector wherever it's located. Maybe the South Pole is where the AI was located, the central communications area, right? You would kind of just be independent from every other sector to an extent, right? You're not going to vote, right? It wouldn't be like it's kind of like. Maybe you send a representative, some kind of like like you're in a co-op in a building, right? We'll send a representative here, and they'll what are we gonna do with this? Oh, well, our sector needs more plumbing, or it's hot. I don't know, but you're not gonna know for everybody in every sector. It's so big and vast. And so if like a sector like they get news like, oh, the AI said that something happened in this area that's beyond our repair. All those people are dead, or they're gonna die. Right? Or we can't help them, but somehow life finds a way to bring itself back up. I mean, and then we got to this level where we're at right now, just barely aware that we're here, that we were part of it, and they're not going to give a fuck about us.
Yeah, they really don't.
No, I mean, you live in where'd you grow up? Like what sector of the city of the country you live in? Like I live in Texas, right?
Yep. I was born in Houston, Texas. I lived there for about a decade.
I'm here, yeah. But you didn't know what's going on. Let's say in Denton.
No.
Tornadoes were happening. People get blown away, right? There was a drought that went on. You didn't hear about it in Houston. It was like nice and sunny. It rains all the fucking time in Houston, right? In the summer, it floods all the fucking time. Mm-hmm. Do you think anybody in Denton knows it was flooding in the 60s or the 70s about what was going on there? You read a newspaper, but you're not exploring it. It's just something that happened over there. I think the same thing goes on in my Dyson sphere theory.
But so what would be the intent of rolling out a social media system? Because that would prevent those types
I think that whoever's in charge doesn't think that anybody's able to accept the fact that where we're at, because they've been told that the world is round, or that we're on a planet that's spinning through the galaxy. And I don't know, maybe they figured out that the sun is about to explode. Have you ever seen the episode of Star Trek where they go into the Dyson sphere and the thing explodes? It's called Relics. It was Relics. That's when they came across Scotty, and he was like in a ship, and then it was like the new next generation.
I think so. I mean, I only remember snippets of it. Like I remember Scotty talking with Geordi LaForge, and Captain Picard was saying, "Hey, Scott, LaForge, we need this fix. How long will it take?" And LaForge goes, "Oh, it'll take me 16 hours to complete."
Yeah,
and then
they found
Scotty was saying, "What are you doing? You don't tell them exactly how long it takes. You double it. You say it takes 32 hours. So when you finish it in 16 hours, you get promoted, or you get like a."
But the MacGuffin was that they came across a gigantic Dyson sphere, size of a galaxy, and the Scotty ship crashed into it. They rescue him, and then they get sucked inside. And it's at the same point where the sun's about to go and turn into a white dwarf, supernova, and then turn into a white dwarf, right? Yeah. So that's why the people who were there left. But you can see everywhere else, like when they give you shots of what it looks like to be in a Dyson sphere. And if you get close enough to the thing, you're going to be on a flat Earth. It's right there. Where'd they get the idea from that? I mean, how did they know? I mean, maybe he was trying to tell us something. It was all up in NASA, right?
Yeah. All right. Now,
I don't know.
Eric, Brian, I don't want to exclude you from the conversation. So,
what do you think about bullshit? It's good science fiction. Nobody? Anybody? No?
Can't think of anything science fiction to talk about at all.
what do you think about flat earthers?
Brian, you're muted. You got to unmute. I think you forgot. It's all right.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I working?
Yeah.
Hey, finally. All right. Yeah, science fiction. I don't know. There's a lot to be said, I guess. I used to be pretty into a lot of the different, the Star Wars, the Star Trek growing up and stuff. I was pretty into the Star Trek and everything, and I think they just like to get us thinking about outer space. Here's one. Like, what about the what's it in Star Wars, the Death Star, right? Like, that's supposed to be kind of like the moon. That's sort of an interesting topic.
That's no moon.
It's a construct. I think it's whatever it is. It's a projection. Because in a Dyson sphere, you always see the sun because it's in the center of the if you look up. So I think that what we're seeing is something that blocks the sun for a certain amount of hours, and the moon is some part of some construct that's up there that makes us think it's the moon.
I really go back and forth on the moon because I really don't like the idea of the moon not being like a natural phenomenon. It's such like there's so many great like Native American histories and stuff that talk about the moon and everything. And so like I definitely waffle back and forth about it because it's a beautiful thing, but then like it ends up being fake, and that's just kind of shitty. But I mean, I can see it.
It's hard because also all the mythological stories from every culture, the solar eclipse is always about some shadow entity eating the sun, but doesn't have a digestive system because it got his head cut off, and that's why the sun survives it and comes back out. And I mean, it's weird that all the ancient cultures throughout different civilizations, throughout different locations, different time periods, they all have the same story about the about the solar eclipse.
Maybe the moon and the Dyson sphere theory is like some kind of central communication point. I don't know, but there was an episode, strangely enough, in Star Trek again, where the Enterprise got stuck in a planet where time was passing faster in the planet than it was in their orbit, and they're stuck in orbit, and they developed a whole mythos over the object that came into the orbit so many thousands of years before. And they have to sit there and wait until they get an advanced society and they venture out, and they have a theory that, oh, well, this is not a moon. It's the Enterprise, another thing. I think the
Orville did the same thing. Orville did the same
thing. Yeah, of course he did because he's a big fan. But yeah. So, I mean, how do we know this is some kind of communications point? Well,
we don't because we don't get told it.
We don't get to, but why haven't we been back in 30 years? Right now, if you go listen, they're going to send a unmanned mission to the moon with robots like they sent to Mars, and it's been for 40 years since they've been there. I mean, how come all of a sudden we got to go back and we haven't been back in 40 years?
It's because they're nervous now. Like there's people are starting to talk about it. Like, why haven't we been back? And it's been like 50 years. We haven't been since
the explanation is like we can't use the same stuff. It's stupid. My parents bought it. Okay, 1970. Deuce and a quarter. They had that car forever, and they went to my grandmother's. Now it's at a cousin's, and you can get parts for that car, and it's drivable today. But for whatever reason, we can't build the same freaking stuff we built in 1970 to send people to the moon.
And that's the thing. Back then, they built things to last. They don't build things to last now. Like back then, I don't know how businesses stayed alive because they would last for like decades. It's like you would need to buy a new version of it. But now when we buy stuff, it's plastic. It lasts like half a year, and you just buy the next version the next year when you need it. And then
it makes you think about the whole space shuttle stuff. Okay. It's like how many wrecks were there? There 3 or there's 2? 3 or 2? 3. I know there's one when I was in school, and there was one when I was deployed. So that's 2 that I know of. Was there a third one?
Apollo 13 was the one where they had problems and they had to come back.
But they didn't even get off the pad. Yeah, they came back. But there's one Apollo 11 where they went on the pad.
Yeah, the Challenger is the one that exploded. But the conspiracy theory is
that's when I was in school. The teacher. Because that's what every kid in school in America was watching it because a teacher was going in space and she exploded.
Yeah, but the conspiracy theory which is pretty valid in the way when I looked into it. Is they survived. They faked the explosion.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got pictures of them, dude, everywhere. Like one guy happens to have a twin brother.
Two of them.
More
Two
than
of
one.
them.
There's like
There's
two.
two of
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Two of them have twin brothers.
It's like,
I mean, it's not just one. Like we could be okay with one of them having a twin brother, but two of the astronauts had twins.
so the theory is that when they went to the moon, it was shot in a Hollywood studio, right? That's the theory,
That's what
right?
the Red Hot Chili Peppers
That's
say.
it. That's a conspiracy, right? So if the thing was that we're sending stuff up there and they can't control, so it accidentally exploded. Those people never left, but they're always here. They got to come up with some kind of explanation of like why they're existing. So twins all of a sudden and doppelgangers or brother. I have a brother. Do you have a brother, Ebon?
Yep.
We look similar, but not exactly alike.
Yep.
I mean, the other one's like, I mean, we're roughly the same height. You know, he's got lighter hair than me. I got darker browner hair. He has green eyes. I have hazel eyes. Nobody's going to mistake us for twins. You know, nobody has, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, dude. So what happened with the other people that were coming back from the
They all have their own. They all have their own stories. They just like changed their names basically, if I remember it right. It's like really basic stuff.
But
like
that's what happened in 2003. I don't know which one that one was at, but that one was coming back in when it exploded, allegedly. And I don't know if there's any explanation about, or there's some kind of theory about those people who were on there. I mean, I haven't looked into it, but it's bizarre. I don't know. It's all fake.
Yeah. I mean, if they go back to the moon, they're not going to ever leave anything up there where we can observe it from Earth. They're never going to leave a 24-hour camera that's powered by the sun's reflection. So the only time we see it is when we see the moon ourselves. I mean, they're never gonna ever do anything that ordinary people want them to do. Like when the ISS.
Have you guys seen sorry to kind of change the topic, Elon, but like, I mean, not change the topic, but have you guys seen the pictures of the backside of the moon, like that they put out somewhat recently?
Yes.
China has that.
Dude, that's like the most nonsense thing I've ever seen. And there's like, I don't know if you saw, like, there's like, it looks like there's like a big A on the back of it, like a Illuminati type of symbol. And like, it's not like super clear, but clear enough for me where I was like, yeah, it looks pretty, it looks like kind of a big Illuminati type of symbol.
You want to know something? Another thing, if you look at one of the photos of Earth, they have a checkerboard pattern, you know, like the black and white Masonic checkerboard patterns, and they say it's because like the ice melts and stuff like that. So they have pictures from like Discovery. I think that's where it's from, satellite images of Earth, and it's a checkerboard pattern on Earth. I'll bring it up so you guys can see it.
Huh.
It's pretty cool. I mean,
I mean, the propaganda is so thick and so much bullshit. Like Beto O'Rourke, right? He wasn't gonna run. Now he's gonna run. He failed against that
beta boy.
But I was reading the other day. They put out the fact that he was a hacker in the 80s. Like he's trying to get some, and every publication is running with the fact that he was a hacker in the 1980s.
All right.
Which, what does that mean?
So, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna have to look on. Oh shoot, not that.
Wait.
Zoom 2, not Zoom 1. Oh, I need to bring it to. Give me a second here. I need a Firefox.
The guy is just very dead attention.
Firefox.
And
all right, so you'll have to look. It's going to be a little bit of delay. You'll have to look on YouTube or wherever you're watching from. But here it is. It's from NASA. Here it's on the RT.com. The image was taken above Idaho. And so you see this checkerboard pattern. Very Masonic. And
okay, I need to find
yeah. So how about that? Now, conspiracy theorists can go crazy on this one. And this is from the ISS or something like that. Isn't that crazy?
a checkerboard.
You have to see it on the YouTube, not on Zoom.
Yeah, and that's just so weird. Like, what even is that? It's supposed to be taken from the ISS?
Yeah.
Are those supposed to be like? I mean, I do know that if you're farming, you can have something that looks like that. Is that farmland?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Sections of deforested ground covered in snow, alternating with forested land. So it's not farmland; it's just deforested and forested land.
Well, why would it be a checkerboard pattern if it's forested? Because they're like that's how they harvest.
I guess, but you know, the a lot of the astronauts are Freemasons, and so they would love showing a picture of Earth with black and white checkerboard, or maybe not even black or white, but checkerboard pattern representing duality and whatever other esoteric stuff that they would want to just show to everyone. Everyone would be thinking, oh, that's cool, that's awesome pattern. But
it sounds very imprisoning, you know, when you think about like a checkerboard. Anytime I see like square cubes, you know, I'm always thinking like, oh, okay, they're trying to get us boxed in, you know, put in our cell, our little cells, you know, they like to keep us in our little cells.
I think we are in a little cell. We're in our sector. They went dead, and it was actually a hexagon or an octagon.
It would be a hexagon.
Yeah.
If they're into the black cube of Saturn, I mean, a cube is two-dimensionally can be viewed as a hexagon, or it could be viewed as a square.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I mean, we're here on the internet. We're talking about it, but Ebon's been taken out of the search engine for whatever reason.
What?
He's been de-algoed. If you make videos about fish, they'll let you see it. But if you stop making videos about stuff, nobody gets to see your thing, right?
That's good for me. I guess it means I'm talking about the right stuff.
I guess, but nobody hears it.
Eventually, they'll see it. I mean,
the only reason I ran across you is because some kid in Boston who wants to be some kind of Howard Stern. He started talking about you.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Ebon Kim. I stream sniped him. What's Ebon Kim? That's how he sounds. Like, oh, hey, what's up, Ebon Kim? I'll tell you.
What actually happened is I met him out. There's a women's march in Boston, and I wore my NRA hat, and I was walking around filming everything, live streaming it, and I saw him. I met him, and someone on my live feed is, hey, Unbleached. She gave her his real name or something like that. Is on. He's there too. He's wearing an NRA hat too, and I'm like, okay. So he was wearing a hoodie over his NRA hat. So we bumped into each other, and he showed me. He lifted up the hood and said he got the NRA hat, but he only showed it when he was gonna go break through some crowd or something like that. But he had it
just for the reaction. That's why he's doing stuff. Oh. He was like into IRL streaming and people like Ice Poseidon and these other people who are, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I didn't get it, but he was really into that, or was. I don't know. What was I into when I was 20? I was looking for girls, man. I don't know about. I was just trying to find chicks. I mean, every weekend. I mean, I was 27, 28. I mean, right?
You're not doing that now?
Not really. I'm older. I know how the game's played. I'm not in pursuit. You gotta build your area, and they'll come after you. You don't have to be worried.
Build it and they'll come, man. Let them come to you.
Yeah, no. If you have a nice nest, nice things, women. I'm not trying to be. They'll like you. Some girl will find you. You know, it's not hard. But if you're like a young guy, you don't know this stuff. Yeah, that's your pursuit.
Like right? Young guys, all you guys need to do is wear a stash. They'll come. You're gonna have to like push them back. That's you know.
No, if you have a nice car, you have a nice house. If you have a disposable income, they'll find you. Don't worry about it.
True. It's true. That's how it works.
That's how it works. But when you're 25 and you got out of college and you're broke, you try and pay back college loans. Right, you get your first job. You don't know any of this crap. You're out there at the club on Wednesdays, ladies' night, or like whatever they tell you ladies' night is. It's just a marketing plan, right? You're out there. Hey, what are you doing? And if you're in a place like Houston, you go to the club. Some NBA player is going to get all the chicks anyway. Some football player is going to get all the chicks anyway. I mean, they're here. I remember being in a club with a bunch of like Houston Rocket guys. Like, oh shit, I ain't gonna get nothing. What the fuck? What am I doing here?
But
Get the fuck outta here.
here's the juxtaposition about all that, because you're wanting that. You wish you had the girls that look for the guys who had the nice car or the nice house, and you don't have any of that. But the thing is, you're getting the wrong girls that you want to be with in the long run.
That's all
anyway.
I wanted. I don't want the right girl. I've always wanted the wrong girl. I'm still looking for I'm not looking, but I'm specific. My brother has the right girl. My cousins have the right girl. My friends have rightish girls. So I'm not into that. No.
So you're living the bachelor life, I take it.
I've had steady girlfriends, and the last one was steady enough that but she, it's over. It's over. She's found her own life, but I'm looking for a replacement with different factors. So I enjoy the pursuit. I go to places where you can spend money and people be impressed by it. So
strip club?
No. It's almost the same thing. Poker.
I know.
It's almost the same thing, but the girls are, it's a little classier than strip clubs. It's like so obvious. There's a little subterfuge going on. We agree that, hey, you're giving me a back massage because I'm playing poker all night and spending exorbitant amounts of money. It means nothing to me. Oh, what's your name? You get numbers. You talk to them on the phone. You go watch some stupid movie with them, or you go. It's all part of the game. It's part of the dance. I'm not bored with it yet, so.
It's interesting because I remember being in the Navy and just learning from these two Puerto Ricans, and I'd hang out with them. They knew the game like crazy. They knew go to where the clubs are with the Hispanic ladies. It doesn't matter which ladies. They just knew the rules. Like they've got to if they're drinking with their hand, don't ask them to dance because that's a sign saying they're not ready to dance. If they're in a group, you need to go with the same number group. So if they're and what you do is you hit on the not so best looking lady out there. Because they're there with the other ladies, so they all can get some,
Yeah, they all need to get right.
Exactly.
I don't know about now. I haven't been out there.
That was back in the 90s, 2000s. So it's probably
yeah. I don't know how we go now. I mean, these kids seem kind of shut in.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just amazing watching them work. Because I was like, I mean, for me, it was like, oh my goodness, it's magic. It's like one of them tells me every night, oh, I'm gonna go home with this lady, that woman over there. We're like, no way. And the next thing you know, he's saying, bye guys. He's with that lady and he's leaving, and we're like, what? and he told us all the stuff what we need to do, but we're just like we're like, yes, teach us, but it never works with us. We do it and we fail.
Arroz con pollo all day. What am I watching?
I don't know.
Have you heard of sarging? That's kind of what you guys are talking about, sarging. There's like a whole study, there's a bunch of books and shit you can read about picking up girls and the different techniques and stuff like that, peacocking and that kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the whole what was it called? That guy called himself he called it Mystery. He was on MTV.
Yeah, Mystery.
Yeah, you got a peacock, and he looked ridiculous. He looked like a guy who couldn't have gotten into one of those hair bands from the 90s. That's what it looked like to me. What would be like one like that? And I don't know. I mean, that guy who wrote the book that is based on, he shaved his head bald because he was going bald, and I guess it works. I mean, I don't know. I find my techniques work too. So.
I did use one of their techniques. I think it was one of Mystery's actually. I tried one of his just for fun to see if it would work, and it hella works. And I still use it because it's so funny.
Does it still work today?
It still works, dude.
I think they know all that stuff. The ladies that go out there, but they just want to see someone use it that they like, then because it opens the door. I mean, if it doesn't, if they don't like it, they're not gonna go for it anyways. But they know that it's. Someone's confident enough to do that, and they like the confidence, So it's basically just confidence in knowing how the game is played, and if they have any inkling for you, they'll do it. It's like what was that? Swingers. Have you guys ever watched that movie Swingers?
Yeah.
You gotta be the bear with the claws. You know, you're such a big bear. It's so funny because it's true.
It is.
Yeah.
Like but I learned that like in high school because we go to like, you know, spring break and you go down to the beach or you go up to the lake and like a group of guys would be like, oh, I don't want to talk to those girls. And I remember walking up to the girls and say, tell them my name and all, hey, look at my friends are over there. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, your friends over there. And then they want to talk to you because you had the balls to go talk to them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Like
you had, he's got and everybody else who are in the back, we don't want to talk to them. We'll talk to you. And then they get, oh no. Well, and then you kind of like have to negotiate. But I learned that early on. I was like 15 or 16 years old. They go, all you have to do is talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. Because nobody's like, you don't fumble your words. You don't come across as like too much of a dick, but you can't be too much of like a pleaser because they'll think you're going to get walked. That was back then. I don't know. And it seems to have worked up until 2010. So we'll see.
Now you need to dress up in cosplay. You know,
no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to. No, the only way I would dress up in cosplay is one of those stupid cosplay girls was like, but I would want to put up with that. I can like you see these girls like whose job it is to be a cosplayer. I mean, can you imagine putting up with that BS? Like, it's just like they got to. No, I couldn't put up with that. I mean, it's bad enough like you're trying to get a girl getting ready to go someplace, but can you imagine their job is to make costumes and to put on makeup and take pictures?
They've always been putting on makeup and costumes.
Yeah, but they got to put pictures up on. And no, this is something I've run into recently. I ran into a girl and she showed me her Instagram account. And she has like 15,000 followers and she wants to build up her Instagram account. Like, really? I can't.
Jesus.
I can't. No. Why?
You make money. You can make money off that shit, man. You can sell shit on there on Instagram.
I know, but she's putting up, pictures of herself. I mean, she was 24. I go, well, I gotta raise my rate. I gotta raise my limit up to 30, maybe 30, 33. I mean, is it too pervasive? I mean,
maybe that's the future. It's like if you're brave enough and you go talk to a girl and ask her hang out with you or something, they're gonna be like, so how many followers you got? So you have to show your Instagram. If you have like 30,000, those she'll be like, okay, I'll hang out with you.
That would work.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a feeling that's the way it's gonna be. You know, it's like how many followers do you have on Instagram?
Your social media queue.
Yeah, it's like Instagram. I don't have. What's Instagram? And they'll be like, later.
Whatever the new thing is, there's a new thing out there already. It's like the old Periscope, not Periscope, but what was that on? It's a video sharing site. No, it was a video sharing site.
Or Vimeo.
Vivo. No, like what was it called? Anyway, there's a new one now. It's like it's only 5-second clips, but people use music.
Oh, it's like the Twitter equivalent, but with videos, right? I don't know what that is.
No, but it's shorter. You can use music, and people are like lip syncing or putting music to stuff.
Yeah.
Vine. It's basically a resurrection of Vine, and this is
what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, man. That seems too preoccupied with that stuff. I don't know. I mean, it's like control. If I'm looking for like a computer processor, right? And I go to Fry's or to, there's Fry's here in Houston. Mm-hmm. I'm at their website. I don't expect to be, I drive down the road and I drive past fucking like Fry's and my phone tells me, hey, you were looking at Fry's. Come here. And, what the hell?
TikTok. That's what you're talking about. There it is.
TikTok. That's the new shit the kids are up into doing. Little entertainment things, little sketches. But why am I being told my friend to go into Fry's and buy that computer part? If I'm not being spied on all the time. Yeah, Yeah, that's TikTok, and it's called TikTok. What?
What the fuck is TikTok?
That's the new Vine.
Hey, I could divide my 3-hour-long shows into 5-second clips and just upload them on TikTok.
5 second. How many 5-second clips could you make from 3 hours? So there's like 60 seconds in a minute, 5.
It's a lot. It's just not worth it.
Nah, I don't. Hey man, it's worth it to somebody, and they have an audience, and they're really not. I don't know. It's control, like you said. Mm-hmm. We're on the Dyson sphere. We're on something we're not going to be told about. I'm going to be dead in 30 years, hopefully, maybe 40.
I live life like it's a baseball game, man. 9 innings. I plan to live to 90. That's how I started that.
Well, whatever it is, you'll be dead, and some other person wants to solve the mystery. I'm never going to solve it. It's not going to be solved in my lifetime.
Right? It could, man. It could. There's only one way to do it. Well, just like the shape of the earth. And we already know it's flat, but to have like good hard proof and convince the masses, it could happen in our lifetime.
It happened before.
But if you've ever been to the Middle East, I find it hard to believe that a person in the Middle East who's basically grasping on it, like, first of all, you're in a freaking desert, right? You're at war with every tribe. Everybody's at war. I don't think they give an F about if the earth is flat or if we're going to the moon on a daily basis. I just don't think they
don't. But if we, if the masses all figure it out at the same time, if they're all like, oh shit, the earth is flat, then there's got to be some kind of an inquiry, right? So like, who's lying about this, and then maybe you can take down the people they're perpetrating the lie. They're doing all the other shitty things too.
But the earth was flat up until Christopher. That's what we're told. It took Christopher Columbus to discover the new world. The earth was flat, right?
Yeah.
That was the belief for 5,000 years. So are we really? And we've only believed that the earth is round for like 400 years, 500 years.
Actually, you see, the history never adds up because the scientists of the time. I mean, if you go all the way back to Aristarchus, which that was somewhere around 270 BC or something like that.
Yeah,
they figured, hey, they knew the heliocentric model way back then, and they've had support for it, the radius of the Earth, and just the size circumference of the Earth in the 360 degree sphere model of Earth. Yet when Christopher Columbus was setting off, the what was it, the Portuguese king and queen, they're like, it's flat, and it's like, no, king, queen, it's a sphere. We knew it's sphere since 270 BC.
Scientist was not on Joe Rogan's podcast, so your average person digging away at the field trying to get some food for his lord didn't give a fuck about whether the earth was flat or not, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he was the Neil deGrasse Tyson of 207 BC, and how many people knew about it? 10, 20, 100, 200 people? And there's like millions of other people who didn't really give a fuck about it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like the extent is right now. Like, I don't think anybody in people right now in where they have these blackouts over there in Venezuela. I don't think give a fuck about what's going on in the flat Earth debate at this moment.
Yeah.
It does affect them. It could affect them. I mean, they're in such a shit circumstance because the people in power are making it that way. If the people in power, you got to get out of power, and like the only way to do that is going to be to expose flat Earth. I think.
I think there's not one person in Venezuela at this point worrying about if we're in flat Earth. I know there's a power struggle, but they want their fucking lights on, and they want to be able to go to the refrigerate food, and they want to be able to.
They want clean running water. They don't have that.
Yeah, that's what they're worried about, right? So I don't think the person in like. I think there's more people in the world concerned about surviving to the next day than whether or not we're in a flat Earth. And it's kind of a bit, but I recognize it's a bit of a luxury for me to pontificate about my theory about the Dyson sphere and flat Earth.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is all they have to think is just one step past. Because heck, it's one thing to survive an environment where you're thinking about where you're gonna get your next food, you're gonna get your next fresh water, and then suddenly you have all that. Okay, and so your next thing is, hey, how do we prevent this from happening again? Because that's the next step. Is like if they have to go through it every 10, 20, 30 years, they're gonna be like, no, fuck no. I don't want this every 10, 20, 30 years. I don't want my kids to experience it every 10, 20, 30 years. So how do we prevent this? And if it's putting the same corrupt government setup all the time, and it keeps happening, it's eventually gonna stop. I mean, that's why I like these types of revolutions that occur in Venezuela and France and all this other stuff. America definitely needs one. We need these all the time, because what people have to realize is, hey, why am I in this situation? I thought we were a first world country. And then the next thing you know is, okay, I'm finally out of it. And now how do I prevent it from happening again? Because if it happens again...
My perspective, it seems like they're trying to drag us back into it. I think we got to a certain point where we're kind of copacetic. And what I see is people trying to make us into a third world country by overwhelming immigration, by causing racial tensions and manufacturing bullshit. Okay? That's what I see. Okay?
The whole... posterity, is that what?
No, I mean, no. That's what I've seen since the last 20 years, 19 years. That's what I see.
Okay,
and it's been going on longer than that. I mean, we had in the United States, we had our first, or Reagan gave everybody citizenship, right? And they were supposed to solve it, and they were going to go on to the next phase, and didn't do nothing. We had Reagan, and then we had Bush, and then we had Clinton, and we had Bush, and then we had Obama, and nobody fixed it. And even though they said, oh, we're going to give everybody citizenship here in 1985, and then we're going to go to the next phase and fix how we're going to get guest worker programs and all this stuff. No, they just let it be broken and made it worse.
They're using them as a scapegoat, man. Immigrants aren't the problem, you know. It's not them that's the problem. They're the scapegoats.
No, there's a finite amount of resources. We can't all share it. I'm a believer of that.
Actually, we don't have a finite amount of resources. Is they make it so it appears that we have finite amount of resources.
We can't all have everybody here. And why is it used to be the world was like, now it's a bad word, right? Because you look at people who are consider themselves leftists. They're using the word empire. But what did empire do? What did the British Empire do?
The right use it too. The libertarians hate imperialism.
But it's become a bad word. But what was the goal of imperialism? To go someplace else and build it up and make itself do something productive in the world scheme, and they'd be kind of autonomous. But now it's like, no, we can't make Venezuela good. They got to come here. We can't make Mexico good. They got to come here to come. I don't believe in that. Why can't they exist and become functioning on their own? There's so much dysfunction. It's crazy. How can a place in Venezuela with so much oil, and we're taught that oil is supposed to be valuable, right? Mm-hmm. How can they have so much chaos and backwards going on unless it's some kind of design?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Mexico, the same way. They make more oil in Brazil, Mexico, and Venezuela than they do in Saudi Arabia. So why aren't they as prosperous as the Saudis? Huh? What's going on?
Puppet governments, right?
I mean, corrupt government. Well, do you think the Saudis aren't a corrupt government?
They're corrupt, but they're corrupt for themselves. You know, like they have their own power structure.
I don't know. Somebody wasn't at the table. I mean, I don't know. They tell us one thing and then you see another thing. It seems like whatever, dude. I mean, these people, specifically Venezuela, should be the shining brightest light of all of South America, but it's the shittiest place at this point. It's the shittiest place. You know what's a better place? Colombia. Why? Drugs? Is it the drugs that come out of Colombia? I mean, they're still coming out of Colombia. We all agreed that now that Pablo Escobar and his cartel is destroyed, that, it's not a problem anymore. But where's the cocaine coming from? I, myself, just a week ago, saw a whole bunch of it and a poker club with a girl that wanted to snort a couple of rails. It didn't come from downtown Houston. It came from where? Colombia, right? But we've all agreed that it's not a problem anymore. And we can
There's so much of it. There's so much of it. Here in Sacramento, I live in Sacramento, and it's everywhere, man. You can get it anywhere and everywhere. It's every party.
It's more now than any place. It's more, and it's not as expensive as it was in the 80s or the 90s. It's very cheap. But we've all agreed that it's not a problem anymore. But there's a problem here. I mean, Colombia is doing better than Venezuela at this particular point. And what's their resources? Cocaine. That's what it is. I can go right now to Venezuela, check into a 4-star hotel, and I'll be cool. Mm-hmm. I'll probably have a good time in Venezuela.
Same thing with Mexico. We hear about these drug wars, right? And the cartels.
Oh, it's going on. It's going on.
Yeah,
no, that's real shit.
But yeah, if you're in a hotel, nice hotel, you're not gonna have that problem. You'll see like Mexican army with machine guns in these transport trucks. I saw them when I was vacationing way back in like 8 years ago or something like that. It's like you're pretty much safe. They go, no, you don't.
No, having grown up here in Texas, having visited the border areas all my life, it took a jump from where I can go with my parents as a kid over the border to Nuevo Laredo and eat, get a haircut. My parents would drink with my aunts and uncles. To nobody wants to go there anymore. And why? Because if you go over there, some shit could possibly go down. Oh. Like there's literally thousands of people being killed and murdered and slaughtered in all these border cities.
Here's the thing: we've got these organizations that are very not transparent, and they make all these mistakes. I mean, just think about. Remember the CIA? They were planning on tracking guns in Mexico. So what they did was they took out the serials and all this other stuff for the guns. So they're going to make a trap or something like that. And all of a sudden, these thousands of guns go missing and they're untrackable. It's like, that was the CIA's plan. And they just lost all these guns that they're going to use to track and find them and just kind of get rid of the drug cartels and all this other stuff. And people are like, oh, whatever.
The drug cartel, I'm telling you, I think the drug cartels in Colombia are co-opted by the government.
Oh, yeah.
I think CIA, I think that's what it is.
And look, we've got trillions missing still. Trillions missing since 2001. I mean, 2000, whenever. I mean, there are audits. People can see it. It's actual government saying, hey, we've got trillions missing. Nobody cares. The Department of Defense, Pentagon, they lose trillions of dollars unaccountable. All these wars, trillions, not billions, trillions. And the people, the Americans are like, oh, well, it's probably. And
all of a sudden, after they convicted El Chapo, oh, he has $18 billion. Well, where's that money going to go? I mean, that was not even brought up in the trial. Like it was brought up. None of the regular news networks covered the fact. I mean, all I remember when Noriega got the same treatment back in the 90s. All we heard about was how much money was in this bank and that bank. And this dude is on trial. And at the very end, $18 billion. That's more than allegedly a lot of these billionaires and .com guys. Mm-hmm. He has $18 billion in assets. And I'm pretty sure he's not owning any property. It's all fucking cash. And where's it going to go?
Look, I mean, since even the 2008, the economic meltdown where we had to bail out the banks, it's like people were okay with that. I mean, no one. It's not like we went up in arms. It's like, oh, the excuse is it's too big to fail, so they can fail as many times as they want, and Americans will bail them out. And no American is up in arms about all that money that way they bail. It's like they made the mistake. None of them went to jail.
No, because
I lost my house, I lost my job, I lost my nest egg, and all Americans do is like, I guess that shit happens to us little people, but we just got to start over.
Well, no, that girl, the congresswoman that's always against Trump, and she's from LA, she got her husband bailed out for $6 million from his little bank. His bank failed, and he never paid back the $6 million. she's a congresswoman, right? I mean, sometimes people got to wake up. I mean, I can say the people like in South America, but people in the United States, I think they're turning us into a third world country, because how is it okay with millions of Americans that a congresswoman can go to Congress and then 40 years later be worth $200 million on a civil servant? And that never happened
Heck,
in the history of the world.
All these politicians, you know, they get caught with like
no, they only get caught when they
pedophilia, right? And they only serve what, 6 months in prison or something like that.
And that was actually a speaker of the House who got caught as being a pedophile.
Yeah,
and still walking around. Yeah, it's in Texas. He's from Texas. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. My representative, where I moved my because I was keeping my Houston downtown. Well, not Houston, but medical urban Houston address is a guy called Al Green. And he only got elected because his name is Al Green, and there's a lot of black people in the district. Okay, and he got somebody primaried a Democrat, like what you would call like a conservative Democrat when they redistricted, and they got this guy Al Green. This dude has raped 3 people. You can go down there like when I'm going to vote, right? And you got people with signs saying I was raped by Al Green. And they got and nobody cares. Yeah. And he's up there, you know, he's calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. You got women there at the polling office saying I was raped by Al Green, and they don't. And he's not going to go anywhere.
Heck, even Hollywood. Well, here's the thing with Hollywood. For example, James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy, he had some pretty.
there, Eric. I like when you fucks. Fuck that. I like when you say that. Just fuck those people. I haven't had enough of those people.
There was an episode of South Park.
Okay.
Where like where Mr. Garrison tells off Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in that episode.
Yeah, was it a giant? Is that the one where she became a giant Rosie O'Donnell, like a gaiju?
I remember that one.
That was great.
No, where where Rosie O'Donnell got killed by the trapper keeper that Cartman ruined.
3,000.
Jesus.
But it was funny how Mr. Garrison told off a Hollywood celebrity. I feel that way nowadays because, like, to me, I just have to get it out. I just love saying, fuck Hollywood. Like, I mean, there are some movies that I actually do like, but not many nowadays because of, you know, what Hollywood has become. Now it's become, like, complete shit.
I mean, owned by China. It's become
now. It's like, you know, with like certain kind of like ruin the like the celebrities in politics. They kind of like, you know, really ruined it for me. I'm like, you know what? Fuck them. I could just boycott them and just not waste my fucking time with those idiots.
Well, I'm old enough to remember like people.
But I was actually going to say
they're going to like the Oscars like back in the 90s, and the whole thing was free Tibet because Tibet has been invaded by China. But now that China owns Hollywood, are there anybody? Where's Richard Gere? Is he pissed off that Tibet's not free? Right? I mean, he was all the free Tibet, and everybody in the 90s is free Tibet. But now that they're bought and they're tweeting and Instagramming to their audience on a phone that was built by Chinese slave labor, basically, they're cool with China all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, back in the 80s, remember
about
Chinese were always the bad guys. Now they're the good guys. Look at the Martian, the Chinese aerospace industry build them out, and you look at Marvel, Disney. You've got Chinese guy as one of these.
It's tantamount to like, and imagine if the Cold War took place. We all grew up in the Cold War. Most of us here, I don't know. Me and Ebon did. Where we heard the lie about the Russian and their enemies. We didn't hear anything from them. But imagine if they were making our movies and our TV shows. But they're making our movies and our TV shows, and they got control of our social media.
You hear China just took over Reddit. That was just a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
That's crazy, man. Because Reddit's like, that's supposed to be the cool, big, like underground, sort of thing that got big or whatever, and they just got taken over by China.
My only hope is, like, history tells me that at a certain time, Japan was economically like what China is today, and Japan has been in a 20-year depression because eventually the bubble burst.
All right, Eric's bubble is about to burst. Eric, what do you want to say?
Oh, I was actually going to say, like, what Mr. Garrison said in that episode. He said this to Rosie O'Donnell.
What did he say?
Because, like, she had, like, a nephew that was in a class that, it was a tie, and she wanted to, go and like, keep recounting and recount. And like Mr. Garrison is like, half of the kids didn't vote for your nephew. What about them? You don't give a crap. You don't give a crap about them because they're on side. People like you preach tolerance and open-mindedness all the time. But when it comes to Middle America, you think we're all evil and stupid country yokels who need your political enlightenment. Well, just because you're on TV doesn't that you know crap about the government. Now get your ass back on the first class and respect this right. Respect this class's right to make up their own minds.
South Park episode like that?
Why doesn't anyone act like a celebrity? Why doesn't anyone say that to like a celebrity? I'd be like, because you're on TV and in movies and social media doesn't mean that you shit about our government. You don't know a damn thing about our Constitution. You don't know a damn thing about our Bill of Rights. You don't know shit about our gun rights and about social issues. The only thing that you hear is from the fake, the fake news that you keep buying the bullshit from instead of actually talking to real people. You'd rather talk to your rich little ivory tower echo chamber safe space idiots. That's what I would say to them. I would just be offensive.
Well, they're just tools, whatever they're tools. Like we're just talking about China. They're tools of a propaganda machine. I mean,
they're part of the propaganda culture. They're part of a cult, and they don't realize it because either they're complicit and they don't give a shit, go along with it so opportunistically, or they're just brainwashed idiots. I see it from two different sides, or see it as from
China's buying
both
up
sides.
supposedly.
It's either they could be total opportunists, or they're just that dumb.
I mean, China's buying up a lot of stuff. I mean, just like when Japan, they were like it was in the 80s or 90s, they're getting pretty big.
70s and 80s, they bought all of Hollywood.
And Saudi Arabia, they were buying stuff in the 2000s. Now it's China buying up a lot of stuff. I mean, they're buying our debt, the U.S. debt, and
that's what Japan did, and it made them go bankrupt. Okay, so the only thing I can hope, if this is the business model they're going off of, then eventually China is going to end up in the same spot that Japan is right now, where they call it this long malaise, right? There's this long, I guess, contraction of prosperity. I mean, it's so bad that people aren't reproducing in Japan that they made an effort at some point, the government, to go get Japanese Brazilians to bring in because they can reproduce.
And here's the thing.
Japanese, and they go to the Japanese from Brazil, went to Japan, and they were the xenophobia was so bad in Japan that they felt like outsiders, and they were culturally Brazilians, and they all moved back to Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, just over a decade ago, maybe even more than that, the mainstream economists and governments have always been saying that China is in a huge bubble, and their bubble is going to burst any moment. Economic bubble. They haven't. I mean, they filmed all these ghost towns, and that they're always building so many cities that are ghost cities. Hasn't happened yet. And what happens when their bubble bursts? And U.S. is going to be affected by it. So it's I mean, I feel like it's that third world country trying to make America a third world country. It's going to happen. It's good for the rich. It's good for the super wealthy because, heck, America, all the infrastructures and the money, everything that's based off America is there. They just buy it up, and then once the economy gets a little bit better and everyone's making a lot less than they were before the recession, they're going to be now. You know how they say that the top 1% top 10% has more wealth than the other 90%, and it's going to be like the top 1% have more wealth than the other 89%. That's how it's going to be in probably a decade or two.
99%, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what is wealth anyway? I mean,
well,
is it I mean, like well, I'm on Twitter, right? And I follow some people who are younger because everybody's younger, right? And they were like all this MAGA stuff. And then all of a sudden, somebody gave a speech about this guy running for president, right? He's the $1,000 universal income bracket.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It went all over the internet, and these people who were supposedly against these kids who were MAGA, all of a sudden, like, yeah, I can use $1,000. I go, how's that work? That's $2 trillion every year just for people to not work. I mean, so I think the debt right now is 16 trillion or 18 trillion bucks. So you're going to be adding $2 trillion every year. So does money have any worth at that point?
Well,
so if $1,000 going to buy you anything?
Here's the thing with the discussion of money that always gets me is the bankers can create money whenever they want. Ordinary people can.
Point, yeah.
So I hate it when everyone says, okay, Hollywood, this Disney, they're not going to want to lose money. It's like, if they're part of that system with the bankers and the government and all this stuff, they don't need to worry about the money. They're already in that group. They already have people who can create money for them whenever they want, as long as they're doing what does money get you? Bidding, get you
stuff, right? It gets you stuff.
Yeah.
Like I buy my groceries with money. I put gas in my car with money. I buy tires for my car. I buy clothes for myself.
Subscriptions, right? And
whatever,
internet, whatever it is. Yeah.
But like in Hollywood, have you been to LA recently? Do I have any family?
I don't ever want to go. My cousin, he's Joseph Kahn. You've probably heard of him. He directs music videos. He's pretty big.
Does he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he always wants me to go to LA. I never want to go to LA.
So I guess was he live in a nice house? Like,
oh yeah, he's like a millionaire. Like he just
okay.
Last time I talked to him, he'd be saying stuff like, "Yeah, it's like I give these people $50,000 gifts and whatnot because they."
Oh wow, $50,000 a year's salary he gives away to people.
Yeah, I mean it just buys more entry goodwill, so they keep working with him. But people want to work with him all the time, anyways. I mean,
yeah, but is everybody in LA working with you in Hollywood? No. I mean, there's a plumber there, right? He's got to plumb. There's an electrician there. He's got to run wire. There's a mechanic there. He's got to fix your car. There's a car salesman there. He's got to sell you your car. There's a teacher there. He's got to teach your kids. Mm-hmm. There's a person working at the grocery store. It's got to ring you up, stock the shelves.
Yeah, but those guys aren't making very much.
No, and it's so they can't live and buy a house, right? Unless all the cons of your cousins in the world give $50,000 for a down payment, and so they're leaving the freaking state, and they're going to infect the rest of us with their bullshit. Yeah. They're going to get to Nebraska, Ebon. Don't worry.
Hey, this is the last place anyone wants to go with the flooded flat plains. I don't think people want to go to Nebraska.
They'll get there eventually, dude, because they can sell. Like if they have like a family, like my aunt, they bought a house in Redondo in 1968 for $30,000. No, Redondo Beach.
Yeah,
Redondo. My dad used to live there, man. He almost bought a place there too.
Yeah, they bought a house for $30,000. Now they have a marriage, they have kids, they get divorced. So they've been divorced 10 years, 15 years. So my uncle, I still call him uncle, I'll give him that respect, right? He's like, oh man, we got to sell this house. It's worth $3 million. It's worth $3 million. And I'm here in Texas. I moved back to Texas. I can sell that house and I can buy, I'm retired.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of people like that in California. They got these family homes. They'll just sell their houses and build a super mega compound in Nebraska or here in the suburbs of Texas. And they'll change our culture to that crappy culture they have over there that ruin their lives.
I mean, it depends on what you want. I mean, they'll want to change it so they can have a city of their own because they're not going to be.
Oh, they did it in Dallas.
Yeah.
There's a whole place up in North Dallas. It's nothing but these refugees from California, and they're in a gated community, and they don't want to be part of the rest of Dallas. They're there. Yeah. It's not so much here, but I ordered like Uber Eats or whatever. Maybe it's Postmates. Yeah. So I'm like over here, like I don't really do that because I think getting out of your house is a good thing. But I was like, let me order something, right? So I order it, and the guy got to the California phone number. You know, they give a phone number. So, dude, I'm thinking to myself, this dude moved all the way over here just to deliver me a goddamn Whataburger at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday because I'm too lazy to go down and buy it myself. God damn, that sucks. That completely sucks.
But it depends on what you like. I mean, Nebraska, it's a lot different than I thought. I would love actually moving to Wyoming in the mountains. It's so beautiful there. I mean, you could still grow stuff, not too high in the mountains, but I mean, it's high elevation there anyway. I mean, but like
it's cheap. We better get it now. It's cheap. It'll be more expensive in the future.
Yeah, clean water. I mean, they've got. I mean,
imagine
deer
if you were
and wild
uncle.
Turkey just go on your lawn.
How much land could you buy with $1.5 million?
Oh, you could probably you could retire in Wyoming.
And Wyoming, exactly.
Yeah. Anyways,
so maybe you should. You got any relatives that might have passed away in California that left the house? Do you?
They wouldn't. I have a small family. I don't expect anything. I like living the hard life. I like being tough. I like my kids being tough. I just don't want them to have to want. I just want them to grow up strong and hardened, But I'm gonna shut down pretty much now. I mean,
I'm glad you survived this current flood. I remember you had a flood like 6 months ago. They got in your basement, right?
Oh, that wasn't like that was more of plumbing. The pump not working. The new pump that I bought broke. The old pump broke. The new pump broke. So I just go, all right, screw it. I'm gonna buy a professional pump and do it right. And so it hasn't failed. So that's good.
We got muddy plains. That's how things grow in Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
Muddy water. It's perfect for growing corn.
Yeah.
And stuff.
It's gonna be pretty tough. I mean, they had to fix a lot of the train tracks here for the corn processing. The cornfields, they're flooded, so that's not going to evaporate. They need to figure out a way to drain that water. I mean, the harvest this year is going to be bad. I mean,
yeah, I know, because our family still has corn. We got property, and we're going to make some extra money this year in Texas.
Yeah, it's true. And the thing is, so another thing I've been looking into is helium. Like the globe model, right? This famous physicist was looking into it and it's like, hey, we're gonna lose. I mean, helium is abundant in the galaxy, the universe. That's what they say. But the way the cheapest way of processing it is through oil, natural gas, and getting it that way. But the thing is that was like in the 90s. Saying, hey, the reserve is only gonna last 25 or 30 years. So it's 2000. No, that was like 2009. So it's 2019 now. So 16 to 21 years, we're gonna run out of helium. So if it's true that there's a limit of helium, buy helium now while it's cheap and save it for 16 to 21 years. It'll be super expensive. So it's same thing. Someone else.
We haven't run out of oil, right? They found a new way to get more oil. Yeah. And that coincides with my theory that we're on a Dyson sphere. They're always
not a theory. Oil. It's just a good.
But if you're pumping it from like the inner workings of this giant technology thing, they're always going to be pumping stuff over here. Yeah. So we're just like living off the lubrication of the whole Dyson sphere. We've turned it into a fuel source.
I mean, we could talk about it another night. There's plenty of nights to talk about it.
I just got to put it out there. I'm sorry. I'm not trolling this time. I'm really not. Really not doing it. I'm sorry to the
It's fine. I still
sorry
enjoy
to
the
the
conversation,
ladies,
whether or not you're trolling. I still enjoy the conversation.
Yeah, but I want to apologize to the women who I got mad if they ever listen to this again. I didn't mean to do it. I was just playing a part. I wasn't trying to attack
she didn't
you.
know that.
No, one laughed.
Yeah, I know. She didn't know that you were trolling, even though I was trying to warn her that I told her afterwards that
one of them laughed, and one of them got real mad, and the one who worked for Elon Musk got the maddest, I believe.
Yeah,
I don't know who she was. I apologize. Elon Musk is a great guy. Sorry.
Yeah, fucking right.
All right. Enough trolling out of you. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming on, Eric, Brian, and
thanks everyone.
Yeah.
See you.
Have a good night. Take care. Thanks again, everybody. Take care.
Problem.